It is just after dawn on May 10th, and as I sit here looking at the latest intelligence feeds, I can't help but feel that we have just crossed a point of no return. The reports coming in are chaotic, but a very clear and terrifying pattern is starting to emerge across the entire Middle Eastern theater. We are witnessing what appears to be a massive, well-coordinated, multi-front sneak attack launched by Iran under the cover of darkness. It is not just one location or one target. It is a synchronized strike designed to overwhelm every defense system in the region simultaneously. So what is really happening on the ground right now? Well, the silence of the morning was shattered by drones and missiles screaming across the borders of countries that thought they were at least somewhat shielded from this fire. From the shores of the United Arab Emirates to the deserts of Kuwait, the sky is literally filled with Iranian hardware. I have to wonder, why now? Why this specific moment to pull the trigger on such a wide-scale provocation? The answer might lie in how much the IRG has tightened its grip on the Iranian state lately. We are seeing a level of aggression that suggests the most radical elements are now fully in charge, and they aren't interested in playing by the old rules anymore. If you look at the sheer volume of the assault, it's clear they aren't just sending a message. They are trying to break the status quo. It's a gamble of historic proportions, and the consequences are already rippling out through the global energy markets and military command centers. To understand the gravity of this morning's events, we have to look at the backdrop of the last 2 months. This hasn't been a sudden flare-up out of nowhere. We've been mired in a grinding conflict that seemed to be heading toward some kind of stalemate or ceasefire. There was even a peace proposal on the table, a framework meant to stop the bleeding. But while the diplomats were talking, the IRG was clearly moving its chess pieces into position for this exact strike. It seems the peace talks were nothing more than a convenient smokescreen for military preparation. While the world was looking at a potential deal sent through Pakistan, the IRG Space Force was quietly locking its missiles onto every high-value target in the region. They told us their missiles were ready to launch at a moment's notice, and it turns out they weren't exaggerating for once. This is the reality of dealing with a leadership that views negotiation only as a tool to gain a tactical advantage on the battlefield. The scale of what the way is facing right now is honestly hard to wrap my head around. Their Ministry of Defense just confirmed that they've had to engage a staggering number of threats since these blatant attacks began. We are talking about over 500 ballistic missiles and more than 2,000 drones. Just think about that for a second. 2,000 drones, that isn't a skirmish. That's a sustained attempt to deplete air defense magazines and cause total infrastructure collapse. This morning alone, the way air defenses had to jump into action to intercept 2 more UAVs launched directly from Iranian territory, it makes me ask, does Iran think the Emirates will eventually just run out of interceptors? It's a war of attrition played out in the sky, and so far the Emirati systems are holding, but the pressure is immense, and it's not just the way feeling the heat. The fire is spreading north. Kuwait, a country that usually tries to keep its head down in these regional storms, was also targeted at the break of dawn today. Their military spokesperson reported a number of hostile drones violating their airspace, which forced their armed forces into a high readiness state. It's a significant escalation because it brings another major oil producer into the direct line of fire. You have to wonder if the goal here is to create so much chaos that the entire global economy begins to seize up. But the air is only half the story. The real nightmare is unfolding in the water. Down near Qatar, a massive bulk carrier, a cargo ship just trying to navigate these dangerous waters, was hit and bombed. The ship is currently on fire, a dark plume of smoke rising over the Gulf as a testament to this new phase of the war. Iran has essentially declared war on all commercial shipping that dares to move through the region. They are firing on anything that moves, including us Navy vessels, which has already triggered a massive retaliatory response. The US Navy isn't just sitting back. They've launched heavy air strikes along the Iranian coastline to try and silence the batteries. But despite those strikes, the attacks keep coming wave after wave. It's like trying to put out a forest fire with a garden hose. The more you douse, the more it seems to flare up somewhere else. And now we see the deployment of the Gadier-class submarines into the Strait of Hormuz. These aren't the giant nuclear subs we usually think of. They are small, stealthy, and carry a handful of torpedoes or cruise missiles. Why does that matter? Because in the shallow, cluttered waters of the strait, these things are incredibly hard to find. They are specifically designed for one purpose: to shut down the most important oil choke point in the entire world. It's a brilliant, if terrifying, strategy. By flooding the strait with these midget subs, Iran can hold the world's energy supply hostage without needing a massive surface fleet. We've already seen the wreckage of tankers on fire and leaking oil in the strait, casualties of previous exchanges, but this new deployment suggests they are preparing for a full-scale maritime blockade that could last for weeks. If you look at the satellite imagery, the scene in the Strait of Hormuz is like something out of an apocalypse movie. You can see the dark slicks of oil and the orange glow of ships that have been burning for days. This isn't just about tactical victories. It's about making the region completely uninsurable for commercial traffic. If no ship can pass through without being sunk or seized, the global economic impact will be felt on every doorstep from New York to Tokyo. But while Iran is lashing out, it's also taking hits at home, and this is where the story gets even more mysterious. Explosions are ripping through Iranian port cities like Shabahar and Bandar Abbas. These aren't just small pops. We're talking about loud, window-shaking blasts near critical military and logistics hubs. The state media is being vague, but the reality is that the heart of their naval power is under direct pressure. We know the US bombed Bandar Abbas recently in response to attacks on our navy, but these new explosions suggest the pressure is being maintained. Is it more airstrikes, sabotage, special operations? The answer is likely a mix of all three. It seems someone is determined to ensure that if Iran wants to burn the neighborhood down, they are going to feel the heat in their own backyard first. Now here is where the plot takes a truly cinematic turn. It has just been revealed that Israel managed to build a secret airbase deep inside the Iraqi desert. Think about the audacity of that for a moment. They set up a forward operating base, a FARP or forward aerial refueling point, right under the nose of the Iraqi government and the Iranian proxies that dominate the area. This wasn't just a tent in the sand. It was a functioning outpost for combat search and rescue operations. So why did they do it? The logic is sound. If an Israeli pilot gets shot down over Iran, they need a way to get them out fast without flying all the way back to Israel. But the secret finally spilled out when an Iraqi shepherd stumbled onto the installation. Can you imagine? A simple shepherd finds one of the most sensitive military secrets in the region. It led to a brief, violent clash where Israeli airstrikes were used to push back Iraqi forces, resulting in at least one death. This discovery puts the Iraqi government in an impossible position. They are technically an American ally, but they are also heavily influenced by Tehran. Seeing an Israeli base on their soil is a massive political landmine, and yet it shows just how far Israel is willing to go to prepare for a total war with Iran. They aren't just waiting for the missiles to fly. They are building the infrastructure to survive and win the fight. While all this shadow war stuff is happening, the official diplomatic channels are a mess. Iran finally sent a response to the US peace proposal, but honestly, it feels like they're living in a different reality. They basically said they will only negotiate an end to the war, nothing else. No talk about their nuclear program, no talk about their ballistic missiles, and no talk about their support for regional proxies. It's a take-it-or-leave-it offer that is clearly designed to be rejected. Why would they send a proposal they know the US can't accept? Well, it's likely for domestic consumption or to show their few remaining allies that they tried for peace. In the meantime, the IRG is laughing all the way to the launch pads. They have more power now than they've ever had, and they seem convinced that they can win this through sheer brutality. We have to look at the American response too, because it's massive. The sky over Baghdad is buzzing with Apache attack helicopters, and the airbridge from Europe is in full swing. We are flooding the region with fighter jets, supplies, and logistics support. CENTCOM just released footage of F-18 is refueling mid-air, loaded to the teeth with a full weapons kit. This isn't just a routine deployment. This is a war footing. I'm seeing wave after wave of transport planes coming in from bases across Europe. They are bracing for a long, high-intensity conflict. The US is clearly signaling that it will not allow the Strait of Hormuz to be closed, nor will it allow its allies to be picked off one by one. But the question remains, can you deter an opponent that seems to have decided that total war is their only path forward? The aerospace commander was very clear. They are waiting for the order to launch everything, and given the sneak attacks we saw this morning in Kuwait and the way it feels like those orders are already being cut, this is a coordinated attempt to change the map of the Middle East. If Iran succeeds in closing the strait and terrorizing its neighbors into submission, the American era in the Gulf might be over. But let's be real for a second. Is this actually working for Iran? While they are hitting ships and firing drones, their own ports are blowing up and their economy is likely in free fall. They are fighting a multi-front war against the US, Israel, the UAE, and Kuwait simultaneously. Even for a country as large as Iran, that is a recipe for national suicide. It feels like a desperate final lunge by a regime that knows its time might be running out. What happens if this continues to escalate? This is where things could get really ugly. We could see a full-scale invasion of the Iranian coastline to secure the strait. We could see a massive cyber warfare campaign that shuts down the power grids across the entire region, and we are almost certainly going to see more of these secret bases and shadow operations coming to light as both sides scramble for any advantage they can find. If you look at the bigger picture, this isn't just about a few drones or a hit on a cargo ship. This is a fundamental strategic shift in how Iran operates. They have moved from using proxies to direct, overt military action against sovereign nations. They are no longer hiding behind the shadows of their militia groups. They are launching from their own soil and using their own navy to block international waters. So, in my view, we are entering a very dark chapter. The sneak attack this morning was a clear declaration of intent. Iran is betting that the world is too tired or too distracted to fight back with the necessary force. They are using their Gadier subs and their drone swarms to hold the global economy at gunpoint while they try to dictate the terms of a new regional order. But they might have miscalculated the resolve of their neighbors and the sheer military weight the US can bring to bear. The fact that the UAE and Kuwait successfully intercepted so many threats shows that they aren't the soft targets Iran might have hoped for, and the presence of that secret Israeli base in Iraq proves that the enemy is much closer and much more prepared than Tehran realized. So what's the ultimate conclusion here? It's simple, really. The Middle East we knew even 6 months ago is gone. We are now in a state of active, high-intensity regional war that could easily spiral into a global catastrophe. The IRG has decided to bet the house on this multi-front assault, and the world is now forced to respond. Whether this ends in a negotiated peace or a total collapse of the Iranian regime remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the fires in the Gulf won't be going out anytime soon. We are monitoring every ship, every drone launch, and every explosion in the night. This isn't just a conflict. It's a struggle for the very future of the global order, and the morning of May 10th will be remembered as the day the fuse was finally lit.